What's cooking, Gumbo Nation? You're listening to Mortgage Gumbo with Dwayne Stein, right here on iHeartRadio, and I'm your host, Dwayne Stein, the Gulf South Mortgage Authority, and this is your home show for 11 plus years. We've been doing the same exact thing, and that's providing education and options on what is or will be your largest investment and most valuable asset. Say it with me. What is that? That's right. It's your home. And if you're new to the show, welcome to the Gumbo Nation. Think you'll go back to work or family member or friend, whoever's recommended you, and be like, man, thanks. Like that dude. Like the way he brings it. Passion. That's what we like to call it. Passion. Hey, if you want to join the show or the home away from the show is 504-207-7600, or you can shoot an email to info@mortgagegumbo.com. And if you don't know by now, hey, go to YouTube. Just Google Mortgage Gumbo. It pull up all kinds of fun stuff. And did it myself this week because I was trying to find, and it's crazy. It found an old interview from a couple years ago that I did. So it's kind of cool to see that. On the show today, war, inflation, Fed this, Fed that. We hear all about it, right? CPI, PPI, PCE, all these acronyms. And what's the one thing we try to do here, Gumbo Nation, is tell you don't just read the headlines, right? No. Well, today, I'm going to break down all these measures of inflation and what's in them and give you the what. So it's almost today is classes in. I don't know if I'd call it a master class. I mean, I would. I would call it a master class. I don't know if you will. But today's show, you're going to be able to walk away and truly understand, because I'm going to break down each and every category for you. So you're not stuck with, you can formulate your own opinions. You're not worried about what just some headline says. Because inflation's a big deal. So we're going to explain when you hear, hey, CPI. Okay, that's what I feel at my wallet. PPI. Oh, okay, that's groceries. So we're going to make sure that you have a full understanding of that. And then we'll get into retail sales, because retail sales very well may be the canary in the coal mine. And there was a lot going on this week. But that's why you listen. See, behind the scenes, when I'm not just making dreams come true, whether it's buying a home, refinancing, construction, reverse mortgages, which, wow, is on fire. You boomers have got so much money. And every single one of y'all I talk to are, why? Why now? And it comes down to, hey, just affordability. Want my money. Some people are like, you know what? Hey, we want to enjoy life and use our equity. Some are like, hey, working with the lady right now, husband passed away, and using the home to help keep her quality of life up. And this week I got to experience why I love what I do. Now, it's taken all my hair. It's grayed my beard. But I had the opportunity, both, and these three clients came to me through Mortgage Gumbo. One through a coworker, one through a parent that listens. And, you had just the opposite ends of the spectrum. And what I mean by that is, had brother, sister come to me who are in credit-wise great shape, financially awesome shape, have done amazing. Buying a new construction house. Just, I mean, you talk about just rose petals, right? I mean, 1 + 1 = 2 the whole way through. Just had to wait for the builder to finish the build, all that kind of stuff. And then on the other end of the spectrum, you had the person that was told you'll never be able to buy a house. Credit in the mid-500s. Didn't think they had any shot. And a coworker said, hey, I got a guy. Because you know what? We all want a guy, right? And this is no like pun or a guy or girl or anything like that. But when you hear, hey, anybody know a plumber? Yeah, I got a guy. Anybody know an AC? Yeah, I got an AC guy. Yeah, I got an electrical guy. I got a guy. Well, I want to be your mortgage guy. And this coworker, like I said, just two ends of the spectrum. But when you're seeing somebody get those keys, it just feels so good. And that's what we strive for here at Mortgage Gumbo with my team and I, is making sure that no stone gets unturned and that we do absolutely everything that we can for you to achieve the dream of home ownership. I say it. I've been saying it for years. Buying a home, especially in today's environment, is brave. You've got some elevated rates. You've got a lot of obstacles you're dealing with. But this one couple with their credit in the mid-5s, we've been told this, we can't do this, we can't do that. Well, we showed them how you can. And how many of you are listening? Moms, dads, kids are in the basement. We're not in the basement here in South Louisiana or Mississippi, and they're not there. But in their bedroom, in your bed, their high school bedroom, and you're like, we got to get them out of here. But they've got this issue or that issue. Maybe credit, something like that. No down payment. How many of you are thinking that? Well, our job is to provide options. And because of you, Gumbo Nation, that's why we are one of the best in the country. So when you have both these sides of the spectrum, it's amazing. It's just feels good. So I wanted to start with that because this is what we do every single day. It's what we do. And it's to remind you that you don't have to walk on water, right? You don't have to be able to part the Red Sea. You just need to be able to make a phone call or go to mortgagegumbo.com. All right. And listen, this show is going to be jammed. So, hit record. Get your pen, get your paper out. Not if you're driving. Or remember, hey, you catch it again at noon. Or just follow me on any of the sites because this is going to be a great show where we just educate, and give you the whys. So retail sales came out yesterday. And look, it's exactly what you're thinking, right? Retail sales. It's buying things. And we've all heard that saying, the canary in the coal mine, right? They throw a little bird out, the gases, all that kind of stuff. And for years, I've been saying spending has just not stopped. And then when credit cards get filled, the proof of this is we go over to buy now, pay later. And the Fed hangs on that. Well, why do you want me to lower rates when y'all still out there spending? See, the economy's thriving. We need to raise rates. We need to push things up. So 2 weeks ago, we talked about the labor market and what we're seeing there with jobs. This week, the aforementioned CPI, PPI inflation reports came out and showed slowing, which is a good thing. And we're going to break that down. But when it comes to retail sales in July, the expected number was to be up 0.1%, and it was down 0.6. And what's crazy is with retail sales, think of gasoline, right? And this is what's crazy on how they do this stuff. So if it takes $10 of 10 gallons to fill up your car at $3, but then when gas is $4 a gallon, so it's $30 to fill it up 1 month, but then when it goes to $4, it's $40. It's the same 10 gallons of gas, but they increase that. They say retail sales have gone up. But even if you strip out that, we're going to talk about food and energy because they strip that out of some of these reports when we're breaking it down. Even when you strip that out, it's still down 0.3. And I look, I know I'm being a geek, right? But then you throw in online sales, which is a huge factor, right? That's what we do now. That's our behavior. Go online, click, and get it. And even though it is a small sample size for July, and I'm not even going to get into June, they did it down a little bit as well. Hey, has consumers reached a breaking point? And the reason why I'm bringing this up is these are the things that might help the Fed. You know, the Fed's going to raise rates. Well, now, have the consumers, have you reached a breaking point? Is that devil in disguise, that buy now, pay later that consumers keep going to, have you reached a breaking point? And one of the easiest ways to see this, Gumbo Nation, that you've reached a break is how much money are you saving? The savings rate is down to 2.7%. Gumbo Nation. That's near all-time lows. And here's where I kind of punch back or fight back a little bit when I hear the person going, burritos are $20. No, they're not. They're $20 when you DoorDash them. Right? And pay delivery fees. And that's where getting our head around it. And that's where what I look at is savings rate. So have consumers, have we hit our breaking point? We'll see. This is a very small sample size. And the other thing I tell you that I'll be looking at, reporting back to you, that I keep an eye on is, and we have not seen it yet, but it's tracking. There's now a little, it's not flatlined anymore, is then we're going to look at delinquency, right? Because when all those credit cards are jammed up and there you go into the buy now, pay later, what happens? It's called pyramiding in the credit world. Think about it. A pyramid starts wide. You got all this area. Then you keep going up because you're borrowing, robbing Peter to pay Paul. You get to the top, then there's nowhere left to go. So we'll be keeping an eye on that. But maybe, just maybe now, with this retail sales report, inflation, maybe things are starting to trend in a direction that we need to do, even with all this poop going on over in the Middle East. Even with all that going on. All right, don't go anywhere. Gumbo Nation, still to come. We're gonna teach you all up. We're gonna teach you all up on inflation. CPI, PPI, PCE, Don't go anywhere. If you do, unfortunately, I'll just have to come find you. You're listening to Mortgage Gumbo with Dwayne Steiner right here on iHeartRadio, 504-207-7600. Sorry, Gumbo Nation. When I hear that music, it takes me back. I got to listen to it a little bit. Great
back to
job.
the days when you didn't worry about inflation.
I was not worried about inflation at all. At all back then.
A little less gray in the
beard. A little less gray in the beard.
Was there even a beard?
No, nope. There was not. Nope. Baby-faced it back then. All right, welcome back. You're listening to Mortgage Gumbo. Home away from the show. MortgageGumbo.com. All right. So if you've turned on the news lately, meaning in the last 2.5, 3 years, or looked at your grocery bill, there's a big word you just keep hearing thousands of times, the word inflation. Right? Inflation. And usually after that, they drop an acronym called CPI. And when the government comes out and they go, all right, hey, here's the CPI numbers, well, folks either celebrate or start freaking out, depending on what side of the aisle you're on. But what we want to talk about is what does CPI stand for, and why anyone should care, and why you should be listening right now. And so I'm going to give you very simple analogies on these and keep it as remedial as I can. And let's just start with what is CPI. It stands for Consumer Price Index. And I like visuals, Gumbo Nation. Okay? So think of CPI as just a gigantic shopping cart filled with the average stuff that you buy. When I say you, household, right? A family. Or you. But they track a household. What is that? Groceries, clothes, gas, rent, health care, movie tickets, you name it. And the Bureau of Labor and Statistics, yes, those guys. Yeah, those guys who handle the jobs reports. They track the price of these what's in that shopping cart for you, because you only care about what's in yours. But every household has different stuff in their cart. But they track that exact same shopping cart month after month. And if that basket cost $100 last year, and it costs $103 this year, well, inflation's up 3%. Does that make sense? I'm trying to make it as simple as possible, Gumbo Nation. So what it's doing is just basically measuring how much more or how expensive everyday life is getting. And that seems simple, right? Okay, great. That makes sense. Whatever's in my shopping cart, does it cost me more or less? But then what's the Fed do? The Fed does what it does. You have two measures. And this is where the confusion comes in. You have headline CPI and core CPI. So in your headline CPI, Gumbo Nation, just write HL CPI. And your headline includes everything. Your food, your house, your gas, energy. All of it. What you're spending out of your pocket today. Then you have the core. The core leaves out food and energy. I don't know. That seems pretty important to me. Food and energy. Got to eat. Got to have lights on. Got to get to work. So why? Why do they take those out? See, and this is where, again, it's such a play on words, and I want you to understand. And why they take it out makes sense. But then they try to use it against you. Because what's the biggest thing we complain about? The price at the pump, $20 burritos, groceries, food, and energy. And the reason they take that out is food and gas are all over the place. Can be like a roller coaster, right? Ups and downs. Think about what we're dealing with right now with gas, right? You got geopolitical conflicts. A hurricane coming through the Gulf. This can send gas prices, as you see, up or down overnight. That's a whole different conversation I don't want to get into when I'm seeing all these gas companies get on TV and talking about all their Q2 profits. Yet we've got a conflict going on. But, all right, stay where I'm at. So gas geopolitical events like war can have an effect on things. A MOU gets signed. Hey, we're gonna what do they call it when they say they're gonna a ceasefire? And then food. All right, hey, let's say you got a bad frost in Florida. You can't get the oranges, right? Or roads are frozen. Can't, so can affect things. So headline CPI can jump around because of a temporary storm or oil shock. Where core, by removing those things, they trying to remove really just the initial shock, right? They want to remove that and cut through the noise, so to speak, and shows us more of the long-term trends, like rent, cars, appliances, services, that don't change prices every week. I know it's a lot, but I want you to really, it's just so important that you understand this. And I guess to kind of put a bow on CPI is headline tells you what your bank account feels right now at the pump, at the grocery store. CPI is telling the Fed, those air quote policymakers, where inflation's headed long term. So they can decide whether to raise or lower interest rates. So next time you hear, hey, core inflation's cooling down, but you're paying $4 at the pump, now you know why. The Fed, who, thinks they know everything, is looking at the big picture, but your wallet is feeling the headline. So keep that in mind. The Fed's looking at the big picture, the core, but your wallet is feeling the headline because that includes the food, the energy. So I hope that kind of helped you understand CPI. All right, don't go anywhere. On the other side of the break, we're going to get into another acronym, PPI. I can't tell you what it means. You got to, otherwise you won't stick around. So don't go anywhere. We're breaking down inflation gauges and what does it affect on mortgage interest rates and why you need to know these things. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to Mortgage Gumbo.com right here on iHeartRadio, 504-207-7600. Z Cavaricci's with Zodiac shoes. Red, white, and green, but a light pastel green. With a rope belt that folded through that came back down to about the knee.
Do you really
a Coca-Cola rugby shirt?
When you hear a word that you haven't heard in forever, and just immediately takes you back. When you said Z Cavaricci,
dude,
I was
right?
like, boom,
right?
With nostalgia,
dude,
just hit me.
Yeah, no socks, just horrible.
I do like the detail of the rope belt down to your knee.
You know,
that is very specific,
right?
That's
you
very
know,
accurate.
right? Yes, and the longer the better.
If you're not tripping, you're not tripping.
That's right. All right, welcome back. Sorry, this isn't Power Hour radio look back nostalgia. We're talking about inflation. So before we get into PPI, let's get into our weekly segment we like to call Rate Watch. All right, hey, we had some inflation numbers this week, and rates are trying to fight. They're look, I've been telling you this. They want to break out. Need to figure out what's going on in this Middle East, and it's going to be a good thing. 30-year last week, 6.74. 30-year conventional this week, 6.71. Don't like the number. Not going to pretend to like the number at all. But I'm here to just keep it real with you. 15-year, 6.25 last week, 6.29 this week. FHA stayed the same, 6.29. Jumbo stayed the same, 6.85. VA right at 6.3. And a 10-year was at 4.647 this week, 4.693 on the 10-year Treasury. So, all right, last segment we talked about CPI. Now what we want to talk about is PPI. So we're going to go upstream a little bit, right? What we're going to do is PPI is if you want to know where your prices are headed, we got to look at PPI. And CPI is hitting your wallet today. PPI, which is the Producer Price Index, is what's brewing. It's what's in the factories, in the warehouses, in the farm before it reaches the shelves. And so what PPI measures is the changing in pricing received from domestic producers for their output. Let me make this remedial and put it in plain English. It's the wholesale inflation rate. So it's measuring what all the costs are. So if you think of, and I wrote this down, I think, all right, and this came to me last night because for dinner I had Fruity Pebbles, but whatever, don't judge me. So think of a box of cereal that you get at your grocery store. Well, the manufacturer has to buy wheat, sugar, cardboard for the box, fuel on the delivery truck. So PPI tracks the tag on all those behind-the-scenes things. Not just, cereal's now costing me X amount, or milk is now costing me X amount. And the reason why you should care about this is if businesses are paying 10% or 10% more for a product, guess who eventually is going to pick up the tab? Initially, usually the manufacturers, they try to go, all right, hey, we'll hold on to this initially. But if it's continued, what happens? Poop rolls downhill, right? So you eventually, that comes to you. So keep that in mind. It's everything. It's the wholesale. Before everybody gets their hands in the cookie jar or all the ingredients that are getting mixed up in that bowl to make something. That's what PPI What did it take to get those ingredients so we can go then make our widget, our cereal, our milk? Then what did it take to, after we made it, to get it on the shelves, to get it to you and I to buy? And just like CPI, you have a headline and you have a core. So you're measuring, remember, the wholesale price changes. So food, gas, natural gas, raw materials is your headline. And what does core do? What does core strip out? That's right. Food, energy. So good job there. You're remembering. So it's trying to remove items that maybe have, like we said, just volatility in them. And, you know, why? Again, why do, I know why we care, but why do economists care so much about this? And why do they look? And look, out of CPI, PPI, and PCE, this is probably the one that they don't put as much weight in, but it has a big effect. And a lot of it is just because wholesale gas and crop prices go up, and when you look at it, so the core, I mean, it's chaotic, right? Like, how can you know right now how much to make a widget for or that box of cereal? And a lot of this right now is all overlooked by gas prices, right? Because something's got to make the tractor in the field. Something's got to get the wheat to the warehouse to mix it. Something's got, so all these, the gas and the energy costs are higher. So again, it comes down to like the CPI. When you're looking at the core, hey, droughts. I saw a thing the other day. California is going through a heat wave. Like 90% of their pistachio crop is being knocked out in some of these farms. So what's going to happen? Well, pistachios are going to go up. So headline PPI is giving you the real-time costs, whereas core is trying to be noise in your headphones. And if you really want to look at it and just kind of, again, just trying to simplify things for you, Gumbo Nation, make it remedial. We want you, this is an open book test. Headline PPI is going to tell you what the suppliers are paying for everything right now. Core is the underlying cost, supply chain cost, right? Supply chain, that gets thrown in our face all the time. Supply chain effects, supply chain. Well, this is what they're talking about when that happened. So core, whether it's up or down, right? Supply chain, right? When all these things were being done in the previous administration in China, coming over, then new administration comes in, cuts all that. Supply chain. So why does it matter to you? Because at the end of the day, I think PPI, it's a big indicator. Because if PPI stays high, then guess what? Expect CPI, your retail prices, to stay high a few months in a row. It's that simple because they're trying to plan for the ahead. All right, when we come back, our final segment, the Fed's favorite measure, what they look forward to. We're going to break that down in full. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to Mortgage Gumbo. With all this great information, don't forget I'm a lender. One of the top 1% lenders in the country. I can help you buying, refinancing, construction, renovation, reverse mortgages. Just go to mortgagegumbo.com. Welcome back. You're listening to Mortgage Gumbo with Dwayne Stein. MortgageGumbo.com. The home away from the show, 504-207-7600. And today is the official start of the 2026 Saints football season. Who dat? Let's go. It's the most excited I've been for a while. So excited. Let's go. Get a little start today. Take on those Jaguars in the Dome. Sorry, folks. Much as I geek out on finances, sports is, if you're going to go play, what is it? You need to phone a friend. You want me for sports, for sure. All right. So let's talk about the Fed's favorite measure of inflation, and that is PCE, personal consumer expenditures. And we're going to get into why it's the Fed's preferred metric over CPI. And if you're just joining, hey, go to Mortgage Gumbo on YouTube or follow me. So you can hear, we just broke down in detail CPI and PPI. So when you're looking at why the Fed and what they're actually looking at and staring at, whether to decide to cut the federal funds rate, it comes down to a whole nother acronym, PCE. Personal Consumption Expenditures. So while everybody on social media is freaking out, looking at this, looking at that, the new Fed chair, Kevin Warsh, is waiting for that PCE report. And let's sort of unpack as simply as I can what it is. So PCE is tracked by the Bureau of Economic Analysis, right? Bunch of economists. And remember CPI? It measured those fixed costs that's in your imaginary basket of your goods that you pay directly out of your pocket. Well, PCE measures everything consumers buy or that is bought on their behalf and across the entire country. Right? So CPI is measuring that basket directly out of your pocket. If you were to say, like, by urban house, so think of a city, right? I'm just trying to break it down. And PCE is what everybody's buying across the entire country. So that's why it's a little bit more important to them. And it's three main reasons that the Fed love it. And number one is the substitution effect. And I like this. I like this. This is an easy way to break it down. So the PCE is adjusting on how you really shop. So if beef prices skyrocket, the CPI assumes that you're just going to keep buying more expensive beef. But what happens? In reality, you switch to chicken, for example. Well, what the PCE does is they track that shift immediately. So they could give a more realistic picture of what actual expenses are on your day-to-day living. So beef goes up. CPI is like, Dwayne's just going to keep buying more expensive beef. PCE goes, he's going to switch over to chicken or whatever. And then let's think of another measure. Their second measure here that they look at is healthcare, employee expenses. So what PCE does is they take all those expenses that's paid on your behalf. CPI is measuring what's coming out of your pocket. Remember, it's in your big basket. Well, what PCE is doing is they're looking at what expenses that your employer's paying or government programs. Yeah, the ones like Medicaid or Medicare out of your health care. Yes, the ones where all the fraud's going on. So you can imagine. Because really, health care, what does everybody always say when they run out? Free health care for all, blah, blah, blah. It's a huge cost, and it's a huge thing. So the PCE is, hey, what is the entire country? Whereas the CPI is, what do you pay on your check? Whereas PCE is, what is it paid across the entire country and the effect on the economy? And then we kind of talked about CPI. Imagine it's your basket, right, in your city, what you're paying.
2 minutes.
PCE is going to break down the entire economy. We're going to reach out to everybody, right? Not we, but them. Your nonprofits, wink, wink, your rural areas, to get a true measure. And that's why you'll hear the Fed talk about their target rate is 2%. I don't know where that number comes from or why. But when they say that, they're specifically talking about the core PCE. Not CPI, not PPI. PCE is their guide, their North Star. Gumbo Nation. So the takeaway is this. Okay? CPI is what you feel directly at the register.
1 minute.
PPI is what's coming down the pike. And then PCE, it's more of the complete, flexible picture of what the economy is spending. And then the core, that PCE is what the Fed uses when they have their meetings. And when we sit here biting our fingernails, or you sit here and wait for me to come on the show and explain, and that's what they use to look at setting credit card rates and interest rates nationwide. That was your masterclass, Gumbo Nation. Home away from the show is MortgageGumbo.com. Who dat? And go out this week and tell one person about MortgageGumbo.com. Till next week, Gumbo Nation, keep stirring the pot.